Hello, everyone. This is Anthony with the Dragons of Victory. So, as I speak right now, as I record this, Pope Francis, the leader of the Catholic Church, appears to be in very critical condition, and uh, many reports indicate that he is at death's door. Basically, he's nearing the end of his life, which is very sad, of course. But I'm commenting on this today for one thing, just to, express my sorrow at this circumstance. Like I said before, I'm no longer a Catholic, but I've never thought of Pope Francis as I'll say I have issues with I've had some issues with some things he's done and said as Pope, but all overall, by and large, I think he's been one of the best popes in the church's recent history, and he to me represents the best of Catholicism, what it can be at times, and why I he sort of represents why I'm not going after the entire Catholic Church. I'm only going after traditional Catholicism because throughout his papacy, many actions he took and many things he said and did, I saw as very positive. And obviously, it doesn't take more than a 5 minute scan, a look through of traditional Catholic online influencers' commentary to see that they have this borderline hatred, and in some cases, an explicit hatred of Pope Francis. They just stew in this rage against him and this anger at him, and you know he's made the Sedevacantist side of traditional Catholicism, which, again, if we're being technical, is not even Catholicism because they reject the authority of the Pope, and there's no mechanism for them to be satisfied for a legitimate Pope to be reinstated if what they're saying is true. It's just not possible. They've been throughout Francis's papacy kind of more ascendant in some ways because if the whole traditional Catholic deal is opposition to Vatican II, and Francis, in some ways, in their eyes, represents, the perfect product of Vatican II or its embodiment, of course they're going to have their knives out for him. And it, the reporting on Francis's health has been kind of spotty and strange, because on the one hand, one day they'll say, "Oh, he's critical, like he's got pneumonia in both lungs. He's on death's door," and then the next day they're like, "Oh, he's fine. Like he's gonna be okay. It's not that he's fine, but like he's not gonna die." And it's like back and forth with this, and so I don't know what's going on there. But as as the Catholic world has been watching the Pope's condition, and sort of dealing with the back and forth of how he's doing, I'll say that I've seen for sure many traditional Catholic influencers and commentators saying the right thing, I guess, saying that they, hope he recovers. But some, like Michael Matt, the guy at the Remnant, he basically, in so many words, in a recent video of his, says that he hopes Francis dies. I mean, he said it in a in the standard overcomplicated way. Traditional Catholics accuse Vatican II Church of being overcomplicated, but when they it just fries your brain or wraps it into knots trying to follow the the loop-de-loops of reason and logic to justify all their positions and how this can be true at the same time as that. Um, Michael Matt essentially said, yeah, Francis should die because his death would be good for the church because of how bad he's been for the church. Um, they have such a unbalanced anger at what they see as damages Francis has done to the church, which again, I think he's done hardly any real damage at all. He's destroying the church in their eyes, of course, but I obviously don't see it that way. Uh, he said, Michael Matt said something along the lines of like, pray he has a happy death or pray his, I mean, fine, but like he didn't, he was making the point is like, we shouldn't want him to recover. We should want him to die. That's what he said. And Altman, James Altman, who is a sedevacantist priest, so technically not a Catholic, but it's still a trad cath hero. Uh, he in the past has straight up called for Francis to be murdered. He said we should tie a millstone around his neck and throw him into the ocean. That's yeah, you can say, oh, I'm just quoting Jesus, but he's saying a man should be murdered, and uh he's lecturing people on how to live their lives down to the ridiculous details, and they're going to really obviously, I hope Francis recovers, but he is 88, and a lot of what I've been seeing doesn't look good for him in the reporting. When he does pass, the traditional Catholic influencer world, a lot of them, again, not all, but a lot, are really going to show their hand. Or actually, they're going to show their ass. They're going to expose themselves for the goblins they are in many cases. They just stew in this bitter, angry uh, world all the time that I want no part of. Um, and you know, when you're growing up around some of these priests and personalities who just give throw that at you constantly, it's really damaging. And for one thing, they're going to show their ass in after Francis's death. Watch for it. There's going to be a lot of outright celebration of it. It's going to be grotesque. They're also they're it's going to be, I think, ultimately short-lived. Any gross jubilation they're going to have because the next pope is not going to give them what they want. Just, I mean, it's never enough for them. They're just a bottomless hole of conditions and like you're only doing the right thing and you're only going to heaven if you satisfy this. No, wait, it's even this, and it's just more and more, and they pile on all the conditions and everything that will satisfy them, and it's a black hole. Um, the new pope, whoever it is, it's almost it, it's a almost impossibility in my mind, and we'll see. I'm not gonna, make a cold hard prediction here, but just looking at it now as I see it, I don't see any way the next pope is going to be like Vatican II is undone, and traditionalists should get everything you want. And there's like one or two cardinals who that would even be a possibility if they were elected pope, and the current makeup of the church and the way traditional Catholics have been acting in recent years, I just don't see that happening at all. Personally, I hope the next pope is Luis Tagle, that cardinal from the Philippines. I think um, he would do the most good for the church. Him becoming pope wouldn't make it all true in my mind, but I would see the church as continuing on in the right direction. The the mo- the most they would be going the most in the right direction, I guess you could say, if Tagle becomes the next pope. That's what I believe. So, um, sending out my good thoughts and good vibrations to Francis in this time as he very likely nears the end of his life. I think he's I think he's been a great leader to this organization and for the most part done all the right things. And it will be sad when he's gone. Um, I remember uh, I was when he, like I said, when he became Pope, it was 2013, and I was ending my time as a high schooler and realizing that traditional Catholicism was crazy, and I needed to stop being a part of it. But at that time, I still very much wanted to remain a Catholic, and I remember feeling genuinely happy and excited when he became Pope, and many things he's done since then have confirmed me in that feeling that he's a good man, and not just because I don't even subscribe to that enemy of my enemy is my friend thing. It's not just because traditional Catholics hate him so much that I like him. I think I would have liked him regardless. So, uh, thank you all for watching. Definitely be on the lookout. Pay attention to what they'll say, what they'll do in the immediate aftermath of Francis's passing. And I hope you fly away to victory with me. Take care.